Hello, I am Professor Chandana Goswami from Tejpur University, and I will be discussing on how to prepare a cash budget. In order to prepare a cash budget, we will first have to form a cash receipts table and then a cash payments table followed by the summary table. So this is the cash receipts table. How to form it? You will be given data. As you can see here, you are given sales data. So this is last year's data. Alright, November and December. Then you are given the estimate for the next 6 months. Along with that, you are also told what is the proportion of credit sales and what is the proportion of cash sales. And of the credit sales, the accounts receivable that you have, how it is going to be collected. So the receivables collection pattern is also given, that after 1 month of sales, 60% is collected from that credit sales, and after 2 months the 40% is collected, and other inflows which are expected from January to June are given out here. So first what we need to understand is that of this credit sales, what is the accounts collected, receivables collected per month. These are the sales figures. 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh 20, 1 lakh 20, and then goes on at 1 lakh 50 and all that. Okay. We are saying 80% is credit sales. So of this 1 lakh 80,000 is a credit sale. Then of 1 lakh 20,000, 96,000 is a credit sale. Okay. Then of 1 lakh 50,000, 80% if you take, 1 lakh 20,000 is the credit sale. Let's look at the collection pattern. This 80,000 that was a credit sale in November is going to be collected in December and January. So therefore, if you can see, I have put in the color codes out there. How do we collect it? We said 60% comes after 1 month. So although the credit sales was 80,000 in November, 60% of 80, that is 48,000 came in December, and the balance 40,000 came in January. Alright. So similarly for your December figure, can you see how it is coming in the after first 1 month and after 1 second month? Okay. January you had a credit sales of 96,000, of which 60%, that is 57,600 is collected after 1 month, and the balance 38,400 is collected in the second month after the sales. So this is how we calculate the accounts receivables. Now once we have that, we will now do the forecast of cash receipts. When we are preparing this table, we are interested only the cash component. First we will put in the cash sales. Remember 20% was cash sales. So if in January you had a sales of 1,20,000, then 20% of that is 24,000. If in April you had a sales of 1,50,000, then your cash sales, which is 20% of 1,50,000, is 30,000, as you can see here. Alright, so first we put in the cash sales. Then we will have to put in the collection of accounts receivable. Look at January. You have two figures out here. One is this 48,000. Alright, that is from your November sales. And then you have a 32,000 which is coming from your December sales. So if you add these two up, you get 80,000. So this 80,000 is accounts receivable collected in January. Similarly, in February, if you add 57,600 and 32,000, you will get this figure 89,600. So in this manner, we do the accounts receivable. Okay. Please keep in mind we are interested only from January to June. The rest of the figures don't matter for us. Sale of machinery, you have been already told that sale of machinery in March you will get 5,000. So we put the 5,000 here in March. And interest on securities 2,000, which is coming in June. So we plotted it here. And then you total this up month-wise. So you have the total cash receipts from January to June. So our cash receipts table is done. We will now go to the cash payments table. You have data given again for the raw material purchased. Alright, so raw material purchase figures are given. Credit purchase 90%, cash purchase 1%. So what we do first is that let's find out how much has been on credit purchase. Total purchase is 40,000. 90% of this is 36,000. If raw material purchase is 50,000, 90% is on credit, that is 45,000. So like that we will know what exactly is the credit purchase. A payment pattern is also given to you, that of your credit purchase, after 1 month you pay 30%, after 2 months you pay the balance 70%. Again, let us have a look of the November figure. Your credit purchase was 36,000, so we will pay 30% of this, that is 10,800 after 1 month, which means in December. And the balance 70% we are paying after 2 months, which means it is 25,200 paid in January. Similarly, your credit purchase of 36,000 in December is being paid in 2 installments. 30% is paid in January, 70% is paid in February. And if you look at the January credit purchase, which is 45,000, 30% of 45,000 is 13,500, which is paid in February, and the balance 70% is paid in March. After having done this, you can prepare the cash payment table. Remember, there was 10% cash purchase, so we will put in cash purchase first. So this 10% is 10% of the total raw materials purchase. Can you see? This is 5,000 because you purchased 50,000 out here. This is 6,000 in April because you had total purchase of 60,000. Okay. So 10% of our cash purchases are plotted out here. Then you have this payment of accounts receivable. Payments of account payable. This is what you have to pay. Again, go to January. This is one amount which you pay, 10,800 and 25,200. So if you add these two up, that becomes 36,000. So 36,000 is the accounts payable which we pay in January. Similarly for February, take up 13,500, add this 25,200, and you have 38,700 out here. So fine, now we have plotted all these accounts payable figures, and we have taken these figures from here. Okay, accounts payable after 1 month and 2 months. Other payments have been mentioned out here. Alright, so it is told you whether it is every month or it is one time. Wages are paid every month, manufacturing expenses every month, general administration and selling expenses every month. So we plot them out here. Wages, manufacturing expenses, general administration and selling expenses. Every month we have plotted. Dividend. You have been told that dividend is paid in June. So fine, put the value in June. Tax is also to be paid in June. Good, you put it out here. Then there is a capital expenditure in March, 50,000. So we have plotted it here in 50,000. Okay, in March. Now we will total them up. So once you total all these up, these are your total cash payments for the period January to June. So we have done two things. One is the receipts table and one is the payments table. Now we will go to the summary table. Can you see? This is the cash receipt and this is the cash payments, which we have calculated earlier. You are given additional information. You are told that the cash balance on 1st January is 22,000 and every month you are supposed to have a minimum cash balance of 20,000. Okay. Now you can prepare your summary table in two ways. The first method 1 is very simple. Alright, you start with your opening balance, which is given to you, 22,000 in January. You add the cash receipts of that month, subtract the cash payments, and also remove that minimum balance which is required. Okay, so you have a closing balance out here. Once you have removed this minimum balance, you will not required to again show it separately all over here. All right, so this we have kept it. So this 20,000 now will stay forever. This closing balance is going to become the opening balance for the next month. Again you add the receipts, subtract the payments. All right, and then you have a closing balance. Closing balance of February becomes the opening balance in March. And this is how you can continue. And these last 9 figures, the closing balance tells you how much is available at the end of a month. Okay. So in this case, you can see these are all positive figures. So it is a surplus. There is another way of doing it. Opening balance, I will keep it out here. Add the cash receipts. Subtract the cash payments. Then I have something what is known as a net cash flow. Alright. The next one says cumulative net cash flow. When I say cumulative, it means that whatever is the net cash flow for this month, I will add the figure of the previous month also. Then I get what is known as a cumulative. But in January, since we do not have December figures, so my net cash flow and cumulative net cash flow remains the same. In the next step, I am adding this cumulative net cash flow to the opening balance. Alright, so this is the amount of cash that I have. Then I subtract the minimum cash balance and I have what is known as a surplus or deficit. What do I do in the month of February? I will take the receipts, subtract the payments, then I have a net cash flow. This net cash flow is added to the cumulative net cash flow of the previous month. And I have a figure called 42,900. Can you see that? In January, I did not have anything in December to add. So my net cash flow and cumulative net cash flow remain the same. With this cumulative figure, I add the opening balance and I deduct the minimum cash balance. Then I have a closing balance which either is a surplus or a deficit. Can you see it is slightly different from the first method? Alright. What is the benefit of using this second method? The benefit is here. If you ask me at any point of time what is the net cash flow, I can straight away tell you per month the net cash flow. If you ask me what is the cumulative net cash flow up till a particular month, that also I can tell you. Alright. So therefore this has a little more details. But in either case, whether you use this first method or this second method, you can see that this final answers are the same. As a manager, now we need to look at this surplus or deficit figures. If there is a surplus, we need to think in terms of investment revenues. Where are we going to invest this extra money, the surplus? If there had been a deficit, we would have thought about ways and means of overcoming this deficit. So this is how the cash budgeting works, and it helps managers in planning for the future. With this, I conclude. Thank you very much for tuning in.